This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city. And yes, we're live this afternoon. Our phone number is 978-534-1626. We have a great guest today. We'll have some fun. We'll have some laughs. We'll learn things. We'll have fun. And yeah, we already saw art this week at City Hall. And well, listen, that's a good thing. Let's go right to the phones now and talk to Big Art. Art, you there?
Yes, sir.
I like that picture that they have of you up there.
Yeah, that was, I don't know how Carl pulled that one off, but he did. I have no idea.
I like it.
Yeah, it makes me look older, but that's fine. We're all getting up there.
You look sporty.
Oh, well, that was, I'd probably come off the golf course, because I got the hat on. Keeps the sun off the head, you know, you have to be careful. And that's something people got to, you're spending a lot of garden time now. You got to cover it up. You got to cover up.
This is true.
The sun is our enemy as well as it's nice if you want a tan, but you got to be careful. And it's time of year, too, is to give a little toot and thank the gentleman that walks out of City Hall every morning with a bag and a little tool to pick up trash. I saw him 3 times this week. And, you know, it's amazing when you cross into any other town, you're bound to see trash. You cross into Leominster, what you see is cleanliness, people smiling. Totally different environment. It's wonderful. And I've always said that when people go to work, if their environment is similar to being neat and clean and orderly, that seems to have an effect on your workload. When I was running a warehouse, we had 100,000 square feet, and it was spotless. I'll never forget it. When Ken Olson came to visit, our founder, and I had the honor of taking him around and showing him things. And he had his first computer stored there. It was called a Whirlwind, and it was made with the old tubes like you saw in the old radio days. And it was so huge.
Yeah.
It would, if you had a standard house that was gutted out, you couldn't fit it in there. And I brought it in, and it was priceless. And we stored it for him in Northborough. But I made sure that the guys turned it with the tubes facing the wall for protection. And when we went around for the tour, he was looking at it, and he said, I'll never forget it. He said, tell me one thing. Why did you turn it and put it in towards the tubes towards the wall? And I said, well, as old as that thing is, and it's on a traffic lane in a warehouse, it was only a matter of time somebody might bump into it and start popping those tubes, and they're probably, you know, one-of-a-kind things.
Yes.
He turned around, he looked at one of the gentlemen that was with him, I don't recall who it was, and he goes, nothing beats common sense, does it? I'll never forget that.
How true.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's an interesting concept. But now the flowers, everything's starting to bud.
Yes. Everything's
coming up. You got to be careful. Put on the sunblock. And there was something else I wanted to mention, and you think I probably already forgot about it.
Hey, did you see that picture I posted on Facebook of Philly DeMar?
No.
Oh, you got
who?
Phil DeMar from the American Harley Davidson.
No.
I don't know if I have a picture tonight, but I posted it. Look on my Facebook page from 2 days ago.
I remember when he first started that business.
Yeah, but remember he used
on Central Street.
He used to drive the Beast. His motorcycle, they had a trailer. Remember, it had graphics on it. It said the Beast. But I found an old picture. Nobody even remembers it. his son didn't even, it's the first time he saw it. But it's strange where you can pick up photos. Anyway, check it out. It's on my Facebook page.
Well, I think the other day there was one, and I don't know if you posted it. I can't remember John's last name. He was a VP of a bank in Leominster. He passed away at a young age, and he lived on Judy Drive.
Huh. Oh yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Well, they hired through him. He did a lot of advertising and public relations for the bank. Steve Allen, the comedian, and he was up here one winter doing stuff. And he talked about how they went to he was staying over at the Sheridan off of Route 2.
Wow.
And I guess I don't know if he had come from California or what, but as a gag, he went outside the next morning. It was snowing. He was helping him shovel. But he was just talking about how funny he was and stuff. And it was pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, you look at the old pictures of City Hall, Alfred Hitchcock standing at the door.
JFK?
Yep. All of them, yeah. He went to the Arrow Shirt, I believe, for a tour. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's about it. Everybody's looking good. The city's looking good. You can't ask for much more than that.
Everyone's working hard.
Cruises. I'm noticing new equipment out there. It's a good thing.
Sally and Larry are back, so they'll be beginning to prepare and prep the garden spots. So we'll be out there very soon.
Yeah, that's another thing. The garden spots around the city are beautiful.
The plantings.
They really add to it.
Spring has sprung.
Yes, it has, and that's a good thing. I think It can't complain on the winter though.
No,
it was a mild winter.
I will not complain. No, absolutely not.
No. Having said that, keep it between the lines.
As they say in South Leominster, it's been real.
And thanks again to all the city workers. I'll keep paying my taxes on the house so that we can keep buying new equipment.
Paid mine.
Very important.
I paid mine.
Yes, sir.
I paid my whatever.
Night all.
Yes. All right. That's Art from the Art Report. 978-534-1626. And we'll update you on all the different projects around town, tell you where you might experience some delays. But anyway, just so you know, and we have a number of paving projects and construction projects going on around the city. It's construction season. Waterline repairs, infrastructure, all over the place. We'll update you on that. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. Do we have that clip from our last week? So let me just, last week we showed a repeat, I think. And I don't do that often, but I wanted to go out with Nick from the Conservation Commission, and we did a walk through the trails, and it was really a wildflower. And so what Nick did is he went out and identified a bunch of wildflowers that come up in the spring. And some flowers, some don't, but we're early, some were. Anyway, we got a chance to walk down to behind the old Babe Ruth field, and that used to be the Leominster Park. So it was like an amusement park down there. And it was a lake before they took the dam down. So we got about an hour and a half, I'd say, out there, and so cool. So anyway, do we have clips of that?
Keith was two. There? Yep, we've got two breaks for you.
An hour and a half, Keith carried that camera around. All right. Let's take a short break, and then we're coming back.
So my name is Nick Kremp. I'm the conservation agent for the city of Leominster here. We've been holding these community hikes about once every month or so for the public, and just showing you the different conservation lands that we have around the city available for walking, exploring, recreating out here. And we'll be introducing you to some of the plants and different organisms that live here and why it's important to protect these spaces. So, yeah, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So, all right, so this is one of our smaller native trees here. It's got these very delicate, pretty little white flowers, 5 long white petals per flower, and these oval-shaped leaves, very soft and serrated along the edges, and the bark remains very smooth as it gets older, kind of developing these vertical stripes. this light grayish bark. And you can see the rest of the tree up here, it's filled with those little white flowers. And this is what's called a serviceberry tree, and also called a shad bush. Both of those names refer to the springtime blooming. It's called a serviceberry because the timing of the flowers and the leafing out coincides with roughly the time that the ground is reliably thawed out. In the olden days, before they had refrigeration or proper morgues to store bodies, people would die in the wintertime. You'd have to wait until the spring to bury them. And so when the serviceberry tree starts blooming, that's when you know you can start holding services. The blooming also coincides with the shad run, shad being a type of fish, or when those fish will start to make their way up rivers and streams to their breeding sites. Shad bush or serviceberry. Beaver activity down here, being right next to the river, and they'll come up right up. Further down, you'll see some tracks where the beavers are coming up out of the water. There's little kind of mudslides that they come in and out of. But this is some beaver sign. You might be able to see if you look closely. The teeth marks, even right here. But they'll kind of they'll chew off the outer bark. Beavers don't actually eat wood per se. They'll eat the very inner part of the bark, which is the only living.
And we're back here at Inside Leominster. So we had a lot of fun out there, and Nick is a great tour guide. And yeah, we learned a lot out there. It was a lot of fun, and it's pre-bug time. And yeah, we watched out. We checked for ticks after, real mountain climbers, but we had a lot of fun out there. So about an hour and a half, and we'll show a little bit more of the clip in a minute. Anyway, I have a guest today, and Dawn DeLuca is with me, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This is like a big deal to have you on. I didn't think we'd be able to convince you to come on.
Oh, I don't mind.
There's a couple of people I'm waiting to find out. I'm like, there were health-related issues and responded positively to certain medicines and have changed their life around. I'm like, come on, there's good stories to share.
There are.
And I'm trying. So anyway, who is Dawn DeLuca? Born in Gardner.
Yeah, so I was born in Gardner, Mass. I lived there until 2014, and decided to come move to great old Leominster. Yeah, I worked in Leominster since 2001, so.
Tell everybody what you do for a living.
I am a critical care nurse at Health Alliance in Leominster.
So important, the nurses, thank goodness. Especially us males out there who have ever had to make use of the healthcare system. Thank you to all those patient nurses who look at us like, what a bunch of babies.
I'm currently living it right now. My husband had surgery.
Oh,
so,
poor Michael.
Michael, he's hanging in there.
Is he? He's doing all right?
He's listening to everything I say, which is good,
Well, the thing is, we're not known for having patience.
No, he doesn't have
You're
patience.
known for having patience, literally.
Yes.
Males aren't very patient when it comes to this stuff.
No, I told him he needs to listen to the doctor, listen to me, and hopefully the recovery goes smooth.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get him back.
Yes, the streets of Leominster
We
need
need
him.
to get him back. He's a police officer in the city, the traffic department. We need to get him back. All right, so let's start off.
Yes.
You're working, you're a nurse.
Yes.
And everything's good.
Yeah, everything's
Life is
good.
good.
Life is good, yes.
And then just in a short amount of time, something happens that brings you to kind of focus on maybe something isn't right.
Yes, so it was actually 2014, Mike and I got married. I moved to Leominster.
Life is good.
Life is great. I'm starting my life.
You got a plan.
Yes, and 11 months after we got married, I was feeling fine and started with some bleeding. And it's funny, no one likes to talk about gastrointestinal issues, digestive
but you're a nurse,
issues.
And that could be a number of different things.
Yeah,
right?
and I have to say it was even hard for me to kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's embarrassing.
It's like, how do I explain this as if the people that you're talking to never heard this before?
I know. So long and the short of it, I just had symptoms for a day and a half of bleeding. I went to a local GI doctor, and thank God he took me seriously. You know, I remember driving there. And
Who's your doctor?
Dr. Song over on Erdman Way.
Yeah.
And
With
I
Dr. Elliott's, right?
Yes, he's actually with Dr. Yu, but
Dr.
it's all
Yu.
one building.
Yeah, it's all one
Yep.
building.
So I remember just driving to the appointment thinking to myself, I just hope he takes me seriously, because I knew something was really wrong. But given my age, I thought he would just kind of be like, oh, you know, it's
But
it's
it is,
okay.
I mean, it is kind of unusual if somebody your age
Correct.
and not having any other symptoms and, you know, a little bit
Yeah.
strange, right? I mean,
Correct. So I got there, and he took me so seriously and said, you know, you need to have a colonoscopy. So I got in immediately, you know, 2 days.
and you were how old then?
32.
32-year-olds don't go for colonoscopies.
No, they don't.
No?
And I went to Leominster Hospital to have my colonoscopy, and I woke up to my coworkers in the room with me crying.
And what are you thinking prior to this? It's probably a tear.
Exactly.
You're half like, you're being conservative. Like, well, I better not get my hopes up that it's nothing. But on the other hand,
Correct.
maybe it's nothing, right? So you're like 50-50.
I never thought it would be cancer, ever. I had no symptoms. I have no family history. I just never thought it would be what it was.
So you wake up.
I wake
and
up.
you're thinking, doc's going to come in and say, hey, everything looks okay. Got a little tear in there or something.
Well, I'm laughing because he was already in the room, and he was actually practically shaking me, telling me I had to wake up. And I could just hear the franticness in his voice. And like I said, I woke up to a room full of my coworkers, teary, crying. And the doctor told me I found a tumor. I need to call a surgeon. I think you have cancer.
And you're half awake, half
Yeah,
sleeping. You're
yeah.
waiting for the crackers and the ginger ale.
I wanted my warm
I haven't
blueberry muffin
eaten.
and
Yeah, I
ginger
haven't
ale.
eaten in a long time, and I really like to eat. And that's how you wake up.
That's how I wake up. So he called Dr. Shelton, who's at Leominster Hospital.
Who's a really good doctor.
I
That
love
guy's
him.
amazing.
I love him. He didn't do my surgery. You know, ultimately, I had seen him to kind of get evaluated. He's put in a couple ports for me and done.
But it's really good because he looks at the you know, the colonoscopy or the CAT scan, and he knows right away that no,
Yes.
I could do that, or no, no, either
Correct.
yes or no.
Correct.
He's good.
He is. He's the best.
Yeah.
And you know, so I had a CAT scan that night before I left, and then the next day I followed up with Dr. Shelton, and you know, it was a lot of uncertainty because the biopsies weren't showing cancer. I had to go in for more biopsies, but ultimately it did show rectal cancer. So I was stage 2 at the time.
So now it's official.
Now it's official.
And how do you feel about that at the time? Are you numb?
Yeah, you know, I just couldn't believe it. And of course, your natural first fear is, am I going to die?
Yeah.
You know, and I was reassured that I wasn't at the time. And, you know, so it was
So now you got it. You're
surreal.
like, but then they keep you busy. Like, you got to go for this test, you got to go to see this doctor.
Yes.
So you're moving around so you don't completely grasp it, maybe?
Yes, and I was still trying to work, you know, just to kind of keep my mind off of it. That's my therapy, believe it or not, going to work every day. I love my patients. I love my coworkers. We have a great time given the circumstances of what we do.
Yeah, I've seen you together.
Yeah, we have a blast.
You have a good time. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, we do. A lot of laughter.
So
know.
now you get the CAT scan, you get all these tests, and
Yeah.
they say, we got to do what?
So I started 6 weeks of chemo and radiation. So that was everyday radiation Monday through Friday. I would get hooked up to a chemo pump Monday morning and get it disconnected Friday afternoon. So
Yikes.
continuous chemo.
And is this going to shrink that tumor?
Yes. So I had a great response from that treatment. My tumor had shrunk. It was very difficult. The chemo was a piece of cake at that point. It was more the radiation. Just you suffer burns.
Right.
You get
It
burned.
literally burns you.
It literally burns you. So I was pretty uncomfortable for a while.
So were they trying to shrink it to remove it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had 6 weeks of that. I ended up going to the Brigham for my surgery. where the doctor took the tumor out. I had a temporary ileostomy just to help everything heal, which would be reversed. Shortly after it was reversed, I would have 6 months of chemo. But interestingly enough...
Just to kill off anything that might be still around in there?
Correct.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I went blind from that chemo, which is a less than 1% side effect.
And you got it.
And I got it.
Why didn't you play the lottery?
I know.
1%.
I had driven to the cancer center, you know, at Burbank to get my treatment.
Right.
Mike offered to go with me. I said,
And by the way, that's like all the doctors everywhere will say that that's one of the best cancer centers around.
It is.
After they do what they need to do, they send everything over, they map it out, and and it's one of the best.
It is, and we're so fortunate to have it in our backyard, because if I had to drive to Boston every day for my, you know, treatment, you feel lousy. You don't want to go anywhere, and I mean, it was a 10-minute drive down the road, so we're fortunate to have it there.
I'm talking to Dawn DeLuca, talking about her. Every day was fine, all was good, and she's a nurse at the hospital, and life was good, and then she starts to develop some symptoms. And the reason we're doing this tonight is not to scare anybody, but really to let people make it, you know, everyone freaks out about colonoscopies. If you think that's the worst thing in the entire universe,
I know.
There's so many people running around that haven't had mammograms, colonoscopies. That's nothing compared to the alternative here, right?
You know, you're miserable for your colonoscopy, probably 12, 16 hours. If
just go to the calendar and say miserable, and it's really not that bad. It's, you know, it's inconvenient is what it is.
It is.
But it's not the end of the world, and get it done. And the whole point is if they can get it done. Now, you weren't anywhere close to having your first colonoscopy.
No.
So, but for most people that are hitting 40, now they say 40 or 45 or 50, they get their first one, and just get them done. And whatever they can find is going to, most of the time, they're going to be able to get you fixed up real quick.
Correct. You know, colon cancer is 100% preventable.
Right.
You have to take the step, though, to prevent it by going to get your scopes.
So you're going to be miserable for it. Full disclaimer, you're going to be miserable for a day.
Yes.
And then they're going to feed you the next day. And more likely, if you go according, get your regular checkups and everything, if they see something, sometimes you just pull it out and they'll send it for a biopsy.
Correct.
You're treatable if they find something, typically, right?
Yes.
So now you go through the whole radiation, chemo, everything, and then you start treatment again.
Yes, and like I said, I temporarily went blind for 10 days. So it was scary. You know, I never knew if I was going to get my vision back. I hate to say that. And no one knew. I would ask the doctor, am I going to get my vision back? And she says, well, we hope so.
Yeah. Well, they can't tell you because, you know, being a nurse, you never want to tell somebody, don't worry, you'll be all right. And then if they're not, they're like, hey, Dawn DeLuca told me I was going to be fine.
I know. So luckily I did get it back 10 days later. But we decided to not continue with treatment after that and just kind of see how everything went.
So would you, if you went to your scans, were you cancer-free?
I was cancer-free for 2 years.
And how does that feel?
Amazing, you know.
Cautiously optimistic?
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. You know, you always have in the back of your mind, you know, when you get clean scans, you always have in the back of your mind, well, it always can come back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Today I got clean scans. But
Yes.
you hear all these stories about other people that had clean scans. Next time they went, they didn't.
Yes.
And we're back at it.
Yes.
So for 2 years, everything was good.
Everything was great for 2 years, and I actually went back. So 2 years later, fast forward, I go for my routine colonoscopy, and Dr. Song said, oh, everything looked okay, but, you know, there wasn't any tumors, but where the old tumor was just a little inflamed, so I took biopsies. And I said, okay, you know, he goes, I don't think it's anything, you know, to be worried about. But it was. It ended up, my cancer had come back.
It did. It's same kind of cancer.
Same kind of cancer.
In the same spot.
Same spot. So I
ended
After
the chemo and radiation.
everything.
And you're thinking, after all that. After all I've been through, it's back.
Yes. So I ended up going, they didn't do chemo or radiation pre-surgery. I ended up going back to the Brigham for a permanent colostomy. Which is fine. I forget I have it half the time, and I was very adamant I didn't want a colostomy.
But you know what the doctors say, the colorectal doctors? You can live without a colon.
Correct.
That's what they say, because
Correct.
so much has changed today in terms of technology
Yes.
and medicine and just everything. So
Yep.
they just look and say, hey, Dawn, you can live without a colonoscopy.
Yes. So,
I mean, without a colon, you can live without
Yeah.
one. And you
So-
say, we all think the same thing, right? I don't, right? That's depressing.
Yeah. Yep. But, you know, I try to look at it like I'm alive. If I didn't have
Exactly.
it, I
You can
wouldn't
live
be
without
alive.
a colon.
So I had my colostomy surgery, and I ended up having 6 months of chemo after that. Did okay with it. It was hard. You know, this chemo, they had like kind of tripled the dose of the chemo.
So it wasn't
So it wasn't such a piece of cake this time around. And then I was good for another year, I think, or two. And then I ended up, I had no symptoms. You know, the only symptom I started with, I had clean scans in summer. I forgot. I think it was the summer of 2019. I had clean scans, but I started to drop weight.
Uh-huh.
Actually, no, it was the summer of 2020 because it was during the pandemic, and I started to drop weight. And I remember the doctors were saying, well, you're under a lot of stress working during the pandemic.
They're making excuses for you.
Well, you know, I always tell my patients, just trust your gut.
Yeah.
You have to be your biggest advocate, trust your gut. And I said, you know, something's not right. I'm dropping a ton of weight fast. I'm eating junk. And I'm not working out because all the gyms were closed.
Right. All your friends are living that. They're gaining a few pounds. You're losing pounds.
I'm losing pounds.
Yeah.
I'm losing the COVID weight.
You either have to open your own gym, your own consulting company, or something's up.
So I ended up having another colonoscopy. That came back okay. And I had told the doctor my concerns, Dr. Song. I said, you know, why I've lost so much weight. He did an upper endoscopy just to make sure there wasn't anything upper. He did a lower. Everything came back okay. And now, fast forward to November, he called Boston and they did an exam. They couldn't find anything. And I ended up having an MRI, and subsequently enough, 5 months later, from a clean scan, I had metastatic disease to my pelvis.
Oh, and all from the colorectal cancer.
All from the colorectal
Somehow
cancer.
or another, it traveled through your body,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
now you got it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now how you feeling?
I'm okay, you know.
Mentally, how you feeling?
Well, that day I remember we were leaving to go on vacation like 2 days after I went to Dana-Farber, because now I wanted to kind of get a second opinion at Dana-Farber, and we go there, and it was on St. Patrick's Day, and I remember the doctor just telling me, you know, you have stage 4 metastatic disease. And I don't believe you're ever going to be cured from this.
So we're going to chase it around. We're going to keep a good eye on you, and we're going to chase this thing around.
Yeah, so, you know, everything they do now moving forward is palliative, so it's more just for comfort. But right now I'm doing okay. You know, I've had, it's funny, we're very fortunate to have Boston hospitals.
Yes, we are. Yes.
You know, they do things I just never knew existed.
Yeah, like freezing things
Yes,
and I don't
yes.
know, this is all this stuff. Like,
Yes,
what?
so-
Is this a coup pop or something? What are you talking about? You freeze it. It's a...
Yeah, so that's what they've been doing for me. So every time I have a tumor that pops up in my pelvis, they're able to freeze it. And it just kind of dies off, and
Amazing.
life goes on, you know.
Now, I'm sure that anybody that's watching is looking and saying, my goodness, she looks good. She looks healthy and good. And what do you say to that? I mean, I mean, obviously your attitude
Yes.
has had a lot to do
Yes.
with you dealing with all of this, because
Yes.
you've had it how many times now?
This was number 5 this past December.
5 times. And a lot of people would be really depressed and give
Yeah,
up and say, you know
yeah.
what, I've just got to get ready. The end is near. You know, but you're not at all. You're moving
No.
forward.
Yeah. Attitude is everything.
Yeah.
You know, I see patients at the hospital. Most of the time, you know, they're positive, they're happy, they're helping you. You're helping them, I mean. But there's some that just negative.
It took them over.
And it's not even cancer related, just with any diagnosis.
So do you tell them, hey, buddy, you think you have problems?
No.
Let me tell you my story. and
No,
we'll talk
no.
about, you think you got it tough. This is what I had to go through.
No, it might have come out a couple times, you know, not
They want to
negatively.
give them a thumb slap, like, hey, buddy, chill out here.
Yeah,
You're going to
no.
be fine.
You know, it's funny because patients do look at me, and once I do tell them what I've been through, they're just like, oh my God, you understand what I'm going through. Yes, I do.
Did you go through the hospitals of Boston thinking to yourself, I might have it bad, But man, there are a lot of other people in this building who have it a whole lot worse than I do.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to go to Dana-Farber.
Little kids and
Kids, very sick people, and I walk in knowing, you know, I'm sick, but I'm not looking sick.
Right.
It's just difficult. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I go, every time I have my ablation, the doctor, or I go to the oncologist, the doctor walks in and she's like, Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Are you in the wrong room? Are you in the wrong room? But that is the thing about sometimes when people are sick, that people say, oh, you look great. Well, sometimes they're not great. You know, they don't. But for you, people are watching and they're thinking, oh, you look great. And what do you say to that?
Yeah, I just tell people, you know, I just keep going. You know, that's the biggest thing. I wake up every day and just keep going. You know, I go to work still. I don't have to work.
Right.
You know.
Do you get afraid?
Yeah, I do. You know, you wake up every morning, you know, you're grateful it's another day, but it's always in the back of your mind that this the day that I'm going to have a pain or an ache or...
Which brings you back to another procedure.
Correct. I get a little nervous around scan time.
Scanxiety.
Very much so, you know, but I usually have a very good intuition that something's wrong before I even go have scans, so.
So you just live every day to the
Every
fullest.
every
and
day.
Enjoy life.
Yes, yeah.
And really, you and Mike really do enjoy. Have a big circle of friends.
We do.
You enjoy life. You do some adoption of rescue, right? You do that.
Yeah.
And so let's get to the other part now.
Yeah.
Which is the Joe Andruzzi Foundation.
Yes.
Now he spoke up here at I forget what event, but he's a really good speaker and he's just a good guy. You could tell right away.
Yes.
So you got really close with him at the foundation and
Yes.
raising money. Tell us about how all that happened.
So I just was approached by the social worker at the Cancer Center, you know, about the foundation and what the foundation is all about. I ended up getting, I was a patient recipient of a grant just to kind of help with anything, you know, mortgage, electricity, any, you know, utility bill.
Sure.
And I don't like to ask for help ever. You know, it's hard for me to ask for help. And, you know, the Cancer Center, the social worker there said, you help so many other people in your life. Just let somebody help you for once, you know. Cancer is very financial toxic. People don't understand that. They think, oh, you have insurance, you have disability.
Right.
It's
There are
not.
a whole lot of other things circulating.
It's not that, you know, yes, I have insurance, yes, I have disability, but, you know, disability only pays so much money.
Right.
Insurance, I'm considered out of network going to Boston, so I have to pay so much more than if I got care locally.
Right.
So it's very financially toxic. So, you know, I said, all right, let's just apply for a grant and see what happens. And we ended up getting a grant, and which I was so grateful for. But the foundation doesn't just focus on financial aspects of people's lives. They also focus on just letting you be human for one night. They do all these events for their patient recipients. They have sponsors that give, you know, for example, they do a Disney on Ice night for these little kids, you know, or patient recipients who have kids. They do Bruins games, you know, so they just try to make you feel normal for once.
Just take some of the stress off, forget
Correct.
everything, come and have fun.
Correct. So when I received the grant, I had said to Mike and a bunch of people, I'm going to pay it forward when I'm able to.
I'll get through this, but then we're going to go to work.
Yeah, so...
And you've been working.
I have been working.
You're raising some money.
Yeah.
And awareness, too.
Yes. So I have been paying it forward. You know, I do, I run on his Falmouth Road Race team every year, so I'm running it again this year.
And people are looking at you saying, you what?
Yeah,
You what? You're running?
I'll never forget one year I had disconnected my chemo pump in the morning and went running. And Mike's at the finish line, and I swear to God, I was probably the second to last person in the race. He goes, oh, I think she's in the medical tent. This isn't like her, you know. But I was,
Yeah.
moseying on down
That's it.
the boulevard there. But yeah, so I'm running again this year on his team with a couple of other police wives. We raised money for his foundation. We did the Blue Patch Project.
Yes, they were at the high school 2 days ago selling patches.
Nice.
And it also raises awareness,
Yes,
right? To the police patches and
Yes.
T-shirts and all of that, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
raises awareness.
Yeah, and I also do a field hockey game every year at Gardner High, which is my alumni. I played field hockey for many years
Right.
there. We raise money for the foundation. So it's so important to me because I realize I know where the money goes. People donate money to Joe, and it's hard when you donate money to a big organization because you don't always know where the money goes. With the Joe Andruzzi Foundation, I know where it's going, and it's going to a good cause.
Amazing. 978-534-1626. And people are probably thinking, oh, let me change the channel. The reality is we're trying to raise the awareness. We're trying to get people for their regular scans. If you have insurance and Mass Health, they pay for those things, regular checks up, blood work.
Yes.
And a day of inconvenience is well worth it in the end. And we were talking outside. This past month was colorectal. The month of April was colorectal cancer month. And
March.
March.
We're in May
Was
now.
it March already?
Yeah, March. I
Today's-
know, crazy.
Today's May. This is
Crazy.
nuts.
I know.
And we were saying that there were a number of articles that were written in different publications, trade magazines, newspapers, editorials, and most of the ones that I saw, believe it or not, were people under 40.
Yes.
And we had talked about there was a OBGYN doctor, and she had kids and wasn't feeling well, and,
Yep.
but she was tired and didn't think much of it, and then she had cancer, but it ended up originating from colorectal.
Yep.
And they're thinking, well, and she's a doctor thinking, can't be that because 50 years old is when you. Now they've changed that, and I think it's like 45, is it, to go
45.
for your colonoscopy?
Yes.
And then, and of course, listen, the insurance companies and everyone knows that nobody likes to go for a colonoscopy, so they're trying to come up with new ways so that you don't have to do that, less invasive, and because it's only to their interest if you're an insurance company, but in the medical world, it's for their interest also.
Yes.
It can help people faster if they can identify this. So
Correct.
there is a little kits you can do, and those aren't 100%, but at least it's something.
Yep.
And just regular screenings and blood tests and basic things and sometimes people are afraid of it, but don't be afraid of it. It's
No.
really going to be your friend in the long run.
Yes.
So there are a lot of debate about why so much colorectal cancer in young people. And they say your diet, people say it's chemicals, and I don't think there's anyone that's come up with any kind of actual, study that says it's because of this.
Correct. No.
Although eating fast food can't be too great for you, I guess, if you eat it every day.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you're raising money now, right?
Yes.
And if people want to help out.
Yes. So I have a fundraising page. I have to get up and running because I just got accepted to his team. But yeah, I'm doing the race, and then we just finished the T-shirt campaign. We sold over 200 shirts.
Wow.
People
You have some, you're like an influencer now. No, you are, because you have like a big following. You said you were going to be here today, and everybody's like, can't wait, you're going to kick butt. You got like, you're an you could start selling products and
I know,
stuff.
I could. I have to laugh. Joe Andruzzi, there was a brief period, like a week or two, where he was going to all these conferences and conventions, and he would send me selfies of people, of my friends or people who
Really?
knew me. And he said to me, who's the celebrity here?
Yeah.
And I said, well.
You know everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, you know one of my friends, Dawn DeLuca. Oh, yeah, I know Dawn DeLuca. And he's like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be the
Yeah,
celebrity.
I know.
Nobody
laugh.
knows Joe. They all know
I
Dawn.
know. I laugh. I said, well, I'm not a 3-time Super Bowl champion.
That's
but.
right. He is an amazing guy. So
He is.
that Crystal on the phone? Is that Crystal on the phone? No. You want to take the call? Caller, welcome to the show.
Mayor, this is Rick Markin. How are you?
Hey, Rick, grandfather. You see that little baby? He holds that baby. He doesn't want to give it up. He holds that
I
little.
want to thank you for having Dawn on today. Dawn, you and I have never met. I saw your husband in high school,
Yep.
and thank you for sharing your courage and your convictions. And I think everybody you're very heartfelt as far as your presentation today. on your battles and your challenge and everything, and it means a lot to everyone who's watching. And certainly, Mayor, let's invite it down to the Johnny Appleseed Festival this fall if you like to promote the nonprofit and try to raise some money for it as well.
Maybe Joe will come down.
Thanks for sharing your courage, and best wishes to everything.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, courage she has. She's like, yeah, I'm taking this thing on. But today, we're living in a good time.
Yes.
And a time when sort of medical and technology and advancements of medicines and, I mean, just, like you said, just amazing.
It
and
is.
you're at the forefront of it.
Yes.
Do you like Google all the articles or every article? Does people send you things all the time?
Oh, yes.
About,
Yes, so the newest thing is immunotherapy
Right.
for curing cancer.
Right.
And it was funny. As soon as it came out on the news, everyone's sending me
sent
the
you
article.
something.
Yes, you did.
I said, like, hey, come on, did you see this?
Everyone's sending me articles, and I get to Dana-Farber, with a stack of articles.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. And unfortunately, the tumor DNA is the biggest thing.
Right.
So my DNA for my tumor does not fit the immunotherapy,
Right.
what they were looking for. But it's coming down. I have faith that it's
gonna
coming
happen.
down. I
Yeah.
do. Every day I wake up just with hope that today's the day that they find a cure or, to help. So
You're very optimistic, huh?
I am.
Look at you. I'm telling you, you're building a brand. All right, hang in there with me. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and catch you up and get some, information to share with you and photos of the week, which I never know what's on there. So we'll find out together. We'll be right back.
So our next introduction here, again, I apologize. It's a little early for this flower, but it is starting to put out a bud. Does anyone know what this is? Very close, but it is not a three-leaf clover. It is trillium. You might have heard of trillium. So it's got 3 leaves that come up like this, and then 1 flower that will eventually bloom and come out of the center and hang down. One of our spring flowers is a spring ephemeral, so-called because they only last in the spring and then they fade away pretty quickly. Something very interesting about trillium, though, firstly, it takes several years before the plant actually produces a flower. So it's got to come up, die back, and then eventually it starts to form a flower, and only then can it reproduce. We tend to think about small little plants like this as being passive or like annuals, but something like this does need a little bit of time to be able to reproduce. And on the topic of reproduction, this and a lot of other spring ephemerals are myrmecocorous, and that means that their seeds are dispersed by ants. So it'll bloom, go to fruit, and produce this specialized seed, and ants they'll pick up the seed and take it back to their colony, and in effect they plant the seed, and that's how it can spread throughout the forest floor. Another invasive, another introduced plant from Asia through our gardens. This is Japanese barberry, and it's, again, very pretty plant. You got to be very careful. They have these very thin, very mean thorns that will just slide right through your clothes. And if you look closely, they're just starting to put out flower buds now. Actually, some of them are opening up already. They have these yellowish, greenish flowers. And sometimes they'll have them left over from the last year, but not on this one. But they put out these oval-shaped, very bright red berries that are not edible for us, but birds absolutely love them. And that's how a lot of this spreads. It's very aggressive, invasive. And you'll often find them just kind of scattered out in the middle of the woods. You think, how the hell did this get here? It's birds.
The Brigham.
Not good. Hey, we're back here. Dawn DeLuca's here with me, and we'll just give you some updates. Let me get my little slide. See that? You impressed? All right, let's see what we got going on here. These are the numbers. We'll have new numbers tomorrow morning. But right now, there are 7 days. These are 7-day numbers. And there are, let's see, 45,000 people in 7 days got tested. And I'm rounding it off. 1,000 people tested positive. 11 deaths in Massachusetts. 1 is too many. 211 in all of Worcester County. Look at the very bottom. That's 2 weeks, but we divided into 2, and we're at 7. So you can see to the left, hospitalization is down. One of the hospitals reported they didn't have 1 patient in the hospital.
I saw that.
That's, thank goodness. Intensive care down 17, intubated at 6. Hey, it's National Anti-Bullying Day, Firefighters Memorial Day, International Firefighters Day, International, finally, Respect for a Chicken Day, National Day of Prayer, and we did have the Christian Life Center out front of City Hall today, and thank you, they've done it for 28 years. It's National Kids Fitness Day, National Orange Juice Day, National Weather Observers Day, Star Wars Day, and World Password Day, which I can never remember. How are you supposed to remember all these passwords?
That's why I have an iPhone.
You want to hear something funny? I can tell you this story. So this guy had invented this little book that he sold in my store. All little gift stores had it. And it was a book on when people first started posting, and they had little slang words and what things meant.
Yeah.
You know, talk to you later was, you know, TL, and all this stuff. So it was like a little dictionary for that, so you know what it is. But then he realized, like, you know, he needed to develop new products. So he came up with this little pad, same kind of thing, but it was to put all your passwords in. So the guy comes and he's trying to sell this to me, my product. Doesn't he leave his password book behind? And I said, I don't want any.
There you
he goes,
go.
Whoa. I said, if you lose this thing, everybody's got your passwords.
Yep.
This guy, he literally himself left his password book behind, which I called him right away. And I didn't tell anybody, but he's made a lot of money. So he doesn't even have to worry about it anymore. Well, let's get back here. Dawn's got me distracted here. That's her intention. But it's World Password Day. Remember your password. 1953, Pulitzer Prize for Literature awarded to Ernest Hemingway for The Old Man and the Sea. Did you ever? The Old Man and the Sea?
I did read it.
We'll put that on your list. 1979, Margaret Thatcher becomes the first woman elected as Prime Minister of the UK. And in are you going to get up at like 4 in the morning to watch the coronation on
I don't
Saturday?
know. I like my sleep.
You can watch it anytime now. See, it's not like one and done. Like,
That's
if you don't
true.
watch it.
That's
right?
true.
I think my mother will be up. She likes that stuff. And 1998, a federal judge in Sacramento, California, gives Unabomber Ted Kaczynski a 4 life sentences plus 30 years. That was a deal they cut so that he wouldn't get the death penalty. And let's see, what else? In 2022, United States Federal Reserve makes the largest interest rate increase since 2000. That was a plus 0.5, and they just did a 0.25% yesterday. And it's all to try to get inflation down. Oh, here's some things that are going on. Light the Town Purple next week. That's the kickoff for the Greater Gardner Relay for Life. And we'll be downtown next week with this show, 4 to 5 next week. Indoor Farmers Market, the 18th. Citywide Yard Sale, the 20th. And the Summer Strolls, the 10th of June. The Starburst is the 29th. We're in our 5th week of yard waste collection. And so you get your leaves and paper bags, boxes, even a trash barrel. Leave the lid open so they know what's in it. No biodegradable bags, because especially the plastic, because we can't tell that they're biodegradable. Paper is biodegradable, but we don't know if plastic is. So there you go. And there it is, Light the Town Purple next week. And stay tuned if you can come down to, and if you're in remission or you're a cancer patient or you want to ring the bell.
Oh,
you were
yes.
the first ever to ring that bell, you know.
I was, yeah.
So there you go, another first. And then on Saturday, I'm just saying this in case you're watching this later, May 6th, the Frankie Fortuna Memorial Skate Park is going to be at Johnson and Carter Street, promptly at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Stop by, bring your skateboard. And then Party with a Purpose with DJ Wayne Tate, and that's to support Michael's Run. That's sponsored by the Eagles. 477, the Apple Blossom Festival over there at Shoreland will be the 20th from 10 to 4. Then we have the same day from 9 to 1, we have our recycling event. It's free. It's open to anybody, not just people in Leominster, but if you go to our website, leominster-ma.gov, it'll tell you what we take, what we don't, what you have to pay for, and what you don't. Here we go. I never know what's on here. Ready? honoring our veterans. This was pretty moving. We started in Worcester, big escort to bring them into the city of Leominster. They set it up. And this was open 24/7 all weekend. And it was the dog tag program, I guess, the dog tag monument, memorial, and over 7,000 dog tags for all those who have died September 11th and past. So that's a lot of people we've lost. And paving of Orchard Hill Park Drive. We're out there like everywhere. The complaints are starting to come in that we've got too much going on. And Rustic Drive, Smith Street area, we did that. The police station just months away from completion. Getting there, probably like the end, looks like now maybe mid to the end of June, and then the end of, and the beginning of July. So they're really making some progress. And then Motorcycle Safety Month. And yeah, it's important not only for those who are on the road to watch out for motorcycles, but also for motorcycles to watch out for everybody else. You really have to. You've got to be scanning all the time, right? So thank you to everybody that showed up. And then it was Arbor Day last week, and we planted a couple new trees at the Gallagher School. And thank you again for everyone that showed up. And then the Hispanic American Center, they got a new food truck, and that's something that Congressman McGovern fought for and was able to get the appropriation for. It's a brand new truck. It's like a full kitchen inside, all brand new, Diamondback steel, 3 bay sinks, and they'll make good use of it, trust me. And then welcome to lunch at the mall at Whitney Field. I went by the other night. I said, geez, let's take a ride by because it's rainy and it's lousy, and the parking lot was packed.
Good.
Well, you know, we all think of the same things. Let's go shoe shopping on the rainy day, or we do the same things. Like, we're the first people that thought of that idea. And then autism awareness patch sales were brisk up at the high school, and we thank you. We also have the colorectal cancer patches as well, and just so you know, the police officers have Velcro, so we can keep changing those patches as we go. And then the Beacon of Hope walk was a huge success. Even though it was raining, it was a perfect day, no mosquitoes, it wasn't hot, wasn't cold, perfect day. And Mrs. Ricker, who was a longtime volunteer for the Beacon of Hope, and Mr. Phil, I can't say his last name unless I say it, Phil DeCicero. I can't say Mr. DeCicero, I have to say Phil. But anyway, both were big supporters, longtime supporters of the Beacon of Hope. They passed away in the last year, and this year they dedicated the walk to them. And what a great organization. When you talk about wonderful things and putting money towards places that go directly to help people,
yes, that's
one of them. And Allen's doesn't look too good right now, but Allen's isn't closing. Allen's is getting a facelift, and when it's done, it's going to look like the day they built it. Isn't that exciting?
That is
what a
exciting.
cool store, too. I love going into that store. And the sidewalk begins on MERRIAM Ave. We've been working on Main Street, all over the city with our sidewalks. And then the Montechusett Chorale. What a beautiful concert this weekend that we had with the Montechusett Chorale. Did a great job. And we have, let me just find the slide. Let's see. It's the North Worcester County Symphony, and they're going to be doing a night at the Opera. And I believe it's coming up on, look at all this, huh? I've done this already. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see, Apple Blossom. I don't know, for some reason it's on. Anyway, I think it's coming up like 23rd. And honest, beautiful. They have 35-piece orchestra. It's awesome. But getting back to Montechusett Chorale, beautiful concert. We had Art in the Bloom last week. And happy birthday to Bernie DiNatale, 105 years old.
I saw that
How
on
cool
Facebook.
is he? And he, you know, he's like, I'm talking to him, he's like, you know, he's like interested in eating his ice cream. And I said, Bernie, if I make it to 105, I'm going to eat like a gallon of ice cream. Maybe 2 gallons of ice cream, Bernie. So that was quite a day. And our favorite, my mom, 94 years old, with her niece, who came out from Indianapolis. And we got a little family reunion coming up this weekend, but she didn't know. Now look at my mother. Can you tell how happy she is, huh?
I know. She looks beautiful.
She was so
Looks
excited
great.
to see her niece. My mother used to babysit for her, and her all. So my mother was the youngest of the family. So she got to babysit all her, you know, her brother and sister's kids, which is kind of cool. So there you go. So anyway, if anybody has any questions and how to contribute to Dawn's team and what she's doing. Or maybe you have questions. Dawn's really good at this. Maybe somebody in your family's running into this, and you have some questions, and you want to kind of have an offline discussion about it. You call our office, and we'll get you in touch with her, and she can walk you through the process, because it's always good when you can reach out to somebody that's been through it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I enjoy doing that. You know, people do reach out to me, so I've been through it.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom in the last minute?
You know, I can't stress enough, people need to go get their colonoscopies.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
I know,
It really
I know.
isn't. After you've had like 10, you're like, what was the big deal? What was I freaking out about?
I know, and you know, get your colonoscopies, get your screenings, listen to your body, be your own advocate.
If something doesn't feel right, go get it. Don't think you're bothering somebody.
Correct.
If you think you're the first person to go to the, to the doctor and say, yeah, I got some blood going on.
Yep.
Don't you're not. If you think you're the first person that's gone for a colonoscopy and they saw your butt, you're wrong.
You're very wrong.
They see, this is what they do, right?
Yes, yes.
And you're right. And anything else about just life?
Just wake up every day and be grateful you have another day, and life can end for anyone at a drop of a hat.
So live it up.
Yeah,
We're
live
only
it
here
up.
for a short time.
Do what you want. Do what you wanted to do.
Eat
and
ice
just
cream.
stay positive.
All right, Dawn. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having
Michael,
me.
get better out there. Okay.
I know, Mike. Come on.
Otherwise, I'll have to arm wrestle you, and that won't be good. All right, we're out of time here at Inside Leominster. Thanks for watching. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. Thanks for showing up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisInsuranceAgency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
This is LTV.